You gotta make sure that your designs are idiot-proof, because sometimes the idiot is you. Hello everyone who just looks up in the stars and thinks to myself, I want to be up there so I can drop high explosives on people. I am BorderWise and welcome back to From the Depths. And what is probably the final-ish, the actual final-ish episode of What Makes a Good Craft. Because I thought I was done with this series after the one with covering tanks. Again, thanks Roastin' VT for helping with that one. And then somebody in the comments pointed out is, what about Spacecraft? I'm like, oh dang, you're right. So here we are. This is going to be a short one because, well, you know how the airship episode of the series was only about 15 minutes long? Yeah, airships are already pretty good vehicles. If you've made an airship, the thing already has a lot of advantages that other craft do not. And spacecraft are kind of even more like that. These are probably some of the most meta category of craft in From the Depths, to the point where a lot of people don't really like them so much. They, I don't think they're as cheesy as they used to be in the days before you had advanced cannons, in the days before you had, like, hit-scan weapons that could aim straight up, so in particular 2-axis lasers or particle cannons. Spacecraft were basically unstoppable, especially if they had good missile defense. These days, there are a fair number of ways to counter spacecraft, and there are quite a few, mostly a higher, hard and godly craft in the campaign, which will tear spacecraft to pieces. And thank goodness, because the Skull Adorned like using them. But for now, we're not looking at the Skull Adorned stuff. We're looking at this little fella that I made just before recording this. There is literally just 4 things on this list, so this should be short. So, first things first, leaving aside the question of armor and armament and all that kind of stuff, and the spinny thing on top, we'll get to that, is, the first thing you want is full 6-axis control. So what do I mean by that? I mean, when you go to the maneuver section, this thing is set to hover. This is just the one that is just generally all around useful, because it allows them to strafe and reverse, even if it's flying. It's all very, very nice. And so yeah, we've got stuff pointing forwards and backwards. We've got strafing thrusters, that's very important. We've got full roll and pitch control and full altitude control, including on top. Because there is such a thing as a spacecraft accidentally ending up being too high altitude, and that's not great because if you're too far away from the target, you can't blow it up. It's not a problem if it's just an unarmed spy satellite, but this thing does have some token incendiary missiles on it, so we do want that. So yeah, you want that, and by the way, on the topic of space planes, I have made many a space plane. I'll actually spawn one in right now, just so you can see what I'm talking about. I'm gonna go to the retired craft section because, ye gods, there's some bad stuff in here. So this is a spaceplane. It uses steam jets, and it runs off aircraft AI. So we got, what have we got? Maneuver is airplane 2.0, because I was thinking to myself, alright, that makes sense. You could just use forward thrust to control the altitude, and it's all jolly good. It's also decently fast, which is nice. However, this thing has trouble maneuvering because in space there's no drag. You'll notice it is like Tokyo drifting quite a fair amount. There's no drag to slow you down, which means that turning can be a bit of a problem. So I wouldn't recommend using a space plane unless it's an unarmed spy plane that's never supposed to see combat. I've made more than one of those in my life. Actually, I think the one that I have, the Quetzal, is just like I haven't changed it in like years simply because it works so damn well, to the point I almost forgot what it looked like. And yeah, that is a good point for spacecraft. As you'll notice, the spinny thing on top does have a strategic radar. You don't have to put that on spacecraft, but you might as well, because the thing is very high altitude. This thing is, let's see, how high up this is 1,500 meters. That is not the limit of space. Space starts at 500 meters in From the Depths and it goes all the way up to 3,000 meters, so you could potentially see a very, very long way on the map, if you so choose. You should probably choose to do that. The other thing is that, like, the whole dang point, one of the main points of being in space is that there's no drag. So this thing has a top speed of 98 meters per second, and that's off just one large ion thruster on the back. That is very, very nice. Very, very nice indeed. So if your spacecraft is not fast as hell, like, what are you doing? What is the point? In particular, cargo craft. you might as well put them in space since they're not going to be in combat anyway, because that way you can use not much materials to make the thing fly as fast as possible. You can just use ion jets, have it off RTGs, and the thing can go over 100 meters per second for basically nothing. Very, very useful for non-combat craft to do that. And missile-proof. This is where I finally talk about the spin block decoy that's on here. So if I spawn in, what do we spawn in here? What's a fun thing to spawn in? Let's spawn in the palisade, because that's definitely not going to kill our little friend here. Also, shout out to Alpha Test, changed ion thruster colors. I just did that for giggles, honestly. I probably shouldn't have bothered. This thing is not winning any beauty contests. And yeah, that's the one EMP missile, the Blue Trail. And the reason you want it to be missile-proof is because, especially against radar-guided missiles, being higher up, having a higher altitude, means that your radar signature gets bigger. So you're going to need some darn good missile countermeasures if you do not want to have every single missile that the enemy is throwing locking onto you and ruining your life. And you'll notice that these missiles are kind of doing a useless wiggle because of this spin block decoy right here. I freaking love these things. They are so, so wonderful. And that missile volley just said niet. I made a whole tutorial on that, and I should have remembered to link it. So, missile-proof as humanly possible. And that way, the only real threat to your spacecraft is 2-axis lasers or particle cannons which can point straight up. Or another spacecraft, which is like... Honestly, like, it would be cool, like, if there were more, like, space-themed factions. Like, I have yet to see a campaign which has a faction entirely space-based vehicles. That would be a very challenging faction. I have seen a faction that was nothing but submarines, Caravonian Rebellion, but not a space-only one. That would be interesting. I'm getting sidetracked, I apologize. The last thing, and this is kind of optional... Okay, well, this is what happened. This is why... yeah, no, our spacecraft is not 100% missile-proof, as you've probably noticed. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear, oh no, the humanity. Okay. It did pretty well, though, for something that was, like, literally fighting something that was literally 10 times its cost. And that's another reason to make them a lot faster, honestly. I could stick more thrusters on this. But anyway, I personally think, and feel free to disagree, one of the advantages of space is that there's no gravity up there. So gravity isn't really a thing up in space, in from the depths, as well as real life, herp derp. I personally think that, like, your spacecraft should be able to get itself into space from the surface, like, because of two reasons. Firstly, player negligence. Know the enemy. The enemy is yourself. Where the hell did I put that bloody thing? There I did. Know the enemy. The enemy is thyself. You could accidentally forget, when you're setting up in a campaign battle, for instance, you could accidentally misclick and not put this thing at the correct altitude, in which case it would be very handy for the thing to get itself to the correct altitude. So, big fan of just self-reliancy in designs. I have played a lot of campaign... Well, I've spent a lot of time in the campaign. Shout out to, again, Steel Sovereigns. Please watch that. It's hilarious. And, yeah, there's like, you know, you gotta make sure that your designs are idiot-proof, because sometimes the idiot is you. The second reason is because this game, even after, like, over a decade of development, it still has bugs, so, like, especially if you're playing in, like, alpha test, you do want to basically make your design not only idiot-proof, but bug-proof as well. If you have a craft that needs to be spawned, like, at a very specific, like, altitude, and if for whatever reason the game decides herp derp and it doesn't do that, you are going to be very sad. Try and avoid that sadness if you can, and feel like, just, you know, save yourself some grief in the future. And a final note, and this is to preemptively answer something, you might be wondering why I'm not talking about the Scarlet Dawn that much. The Scarlet Dawn are getting updated soon, and that's why I haven't really been showing off, like, their stuff. Let's spawn in... What is the Dominus? Let's look at that. I've forgotten what it is. Where is the Dominus? There it is. Oh, it's this thing that is just a giant frickin' railgun. Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. So, honestly, I should have been showing this off a lot more. Let's go shoot at, I don't know, let's shoot at the stronghold, it'll be fun. So yeah, in summary, Spacecraft, like, you know, it's hard to stuff it up. Once you've got it up there, it's already, like, basically untouchable by, like, a lot of different stuff. Especially cram cannons. Like, the, like, fast Spacecraft is, like, the absolute, like, middle finger to Cramcraft. Please don't shoot my little friend. Please don't shoot my little friend. I'll be very sad. So yeah, this is the appeal of Spacecraft, is just you have a monstrous attack satellite. Oh, by the way, yeah, this thing's getting hit, because AA turrets are a thing. So yeah. I guess that's the final good bit of advice, is that, don't think for a moment... What did that do? That did not do a hell of a lot, honestly. Don't think for a moment that, like, Spacecraft are, like, just, you know, invulnerable, because, there's a lot of stuff that can aim straight up these days. So yeah, this thing needs to be faster. How fast is this? That thing's moving at 109 meters per second and it's still getting shot a lot. But anyway, I've waffled on long enough. Full access control, missile-proof, fast as hell, should be able to get itself into space. Nice summary right there. Wow, you can see the wakes from up here. We are so awake. Anyway, thank you to the person. I'm sorry, I don't remember your username because I'm forgetful and also tired. What the hell happened to my poor little friend over there? He probably got shot, I'm guessing. But anyway, thank you to the person who reminded me to do this video. It is kind of important to cover that. And thank you all so much for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. Support me on Patreon or YouTube membership if you like. It really helps. And there's fun perks in it for you, like, at the lowest tier, access to our Patreon exclusive Discord where we can talk about spaceships, both real and fictional, I guess, if thou dost choose. And at the highest tier, I'll even build craft for you, or do art for you if that's more your thing. Do check out my other channels and my Twitch. My girlfriend guested on a stream the other day, so if you think us two are hilarious together, come along to that. It's great fun. And happy spacecraft building. Be sure to do it better than SpaceX. And I'll see you next time in From the Depths. Farewell! Also, the Scarlet Dawn overview is coming. The game just needs to be updated first. Just to let you know. Bye!